But then I realized, okay, I'm going to be the guy who's going to pour positivity and belief and inspiration into other people. So, welcome. Today, we're going to go over something that really changed how I approach life in general. So, this training today is really not just applying for how you go about the business, it's really something that's going to help you in terms of how you can communicate with people. I use this with my children. I use this on how I talk to my spouse. I actually use this for most people that I try to help in terms of helping them with their pursuit of excellence and happiness. But in terms of leveraging this whole platform in terms of building your business, I'm gonna share how this was taught to me. And the way I want to preface this is because the income inside a business is truly exponential in terms of what it can do for your life. Now, obviously, everyone who comes into the business never comes full time. And as much as most of us would want to have, success right away, everyone will find whether they want to get started on a slow path or on a fast path. If you want to start part-time or this is something you want to do full-time right away. When I came in, I was so focused on getting this done full-time. So I was really paying close attention on how to replace my current income at that time, which is my architecture business, with this business. So my focus was to figure out how to replace my six-figure income with this business. And so what I learned was there are people here who's making about 50,000 part-time, which is still relatively good. 50,000 a year part-time income and you still keeping your full-time job, you can do a lot of things with that. You can start seriously paying off some debt and then seriously saving some real money. But also, I've seen so many people with different backgrounds, whether they come from a similar background like myself, a technical background, maybe architect, engineer, IT, or maybe kind of like a healthcare background, like a nurse, physical therapist, or maybe a teacher, accountant. Different backgrounds, different ages too. There's people in their 20s and there's people in their 60s, even 70s, who come in here and then they find success. Someone had defined success starts with you making about $500,000 a year, because I guess standard of living right now, that's really when you can start saving some serious money. Well, maybe some people will beg to differ. Maybe they can survive with less than that. But if we're talking about building some serious wealth, that was the number that a lot of people tend to lean towards, where you can really build massive traction in creating generational wealth, if we're going to call it that. So the difference between making 50,000 part-time and making $500,000 a year is really how you preface the business or how you explain what we do to people. And that's actually what I'm going to be training on today. The people who make about $50,000 a year part time, they explain the products of the business, which is the primary flagship products of the business, which is the IUL and the fixed index annuity. And again, nothing wrong with that. The IUL is a great product, which is obviously it's an index universal life, and a fixed index annuity is something that we do where a lot of people do get compensated quite a bit. I've I've made quite a bit of a living doing fixed index annuities, doing rollovers for people who are retiring, and it can pay you quite a bit of money. There was a time I got paid $55,000 with just one client on a fixed index annuity. But again, that kind of like is where people start getting capped because it's more of like a transaction based. People who make 500,000 a year, they sell something different, which is they sell a dream. They sell a dream to people, or what I call the pursuit of happiness. There's a movie out there actually spelled happy with a Y because they want to emphasize the word happy. or selling the pursuit of a dream, which is you inspiring people to bring out their inner power, to tap into the future that is possible for them, that their current work is not going to be able to give them. And so, if you can have that conversation with people, this is how you unlock the power of WFG. Because if you limit yourself to the transaction, yes, it pays a little bit, but it's always going to be linear because you're going to have conversations with people one on one, and you only get paid if someone's going to purchase a product from you. But having conversation with someone in terms of a dream, it's more exponential because they go on a path wherein they learn and they grow and they really become leaders. There is a guy, his name is John Maxwell. He talks about the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And one of those laws, the law of multiplication, that if anyone wants to grow something, whether it's a business or a sports franchise, or it's a church, or it's, I don't know, a country, that you can only have multiplicative or exponential growth if you grow leaders, because a leader is the biggest lever in terms of growth. That's why the race for acquiring the best people is the biggest battle for most large companies. So when you put people on a path of going after their dreams and their goals and giving them the platform, that's why the tagline of our company is you provide the dream, we provide the vehicle. This now opens up the possibility of you tapping into the compounding income of WFG, because it's no longer linear, it's now going to be exponential. That is how there's a big difference between the two. So some things change, but we can always say that what's cool changes. If you look at what you're probably wearing in the 90s or in 2000 that you thought was cool, and it's no longer cool right now. Now, some of these things they do cycle back, but what's cool actually changes. Products also change. You can see that in a cell phone. I've seen that in video games where I was playing Atari and then Nintendo and then Sega and then PlayStation and then Xbox and on and on and on. And you can see that in cars, and you can see that in just different things, because products will always change. Even the financial industry, products are always going to change. Technology changes, and we see technology changing very, very rapidly. And we're going to see that dramatically, especially now with artificial intelligence. And then eventually we got quantum computers and nanotechnology. Systems also change, right? Systems change, leadership changes too, right? Whether it's government, whether it's coaching in terms of sports teams, whether it's the CEO in your company. My wife is an employee of one of the largest HMOs in California and Hawaii, Kaiser Permanente. They went on this crazy strike that lasted for almost a month. And before, people wanted to work for Kaiser. Now people just wanted out of Kaiser. So it kind of changed, right? The mindset of the leadership changed. There you go. Companies change, and almost everything changes. Almost everything changes, but some things don't change. And one thing that we're going to discuss today that doesn't change is human nature. Human nature doesn't change. What people want is people want to be made special. That's never going to change. People want to be appreciated. That's never going to change. People, most of all, they have dreams. People want their dreams to come true. That's never going to change. And it says here, I have someone who would say that he needs to just bridge the gap between his dreams and his reality. And I've always will tell him the bridge between your dreams and reality is action. Action. Action is the only thing that will bridge the gap between your dreams and reality. And unfortunately, with action, no one is going to do it for you. If someone does it, that is their action fulfilling their dreams. It is the only mechanism that you and only you can execute. So I would love for this to become a breakthrough moment. If you're listening to this right now live, or you're hearing this from this recording, when I found out about this, this was kind of like a new understanding and kind of like an insight. And this is when your business and your career, and it's going to be supercharged and it's going to change forever if you apply it. This is the breakthrough that you need to have. And it's the day you decide that selling a dream is going to be a lifelong pursuit for you. And again, it's not just going to be in the business, it's going to be something that you're going to want to do to the people around you, to be an uplifter of souls, to be someone who will put positive energy into the hearts and minds of people, that becomes your identity. For me, I personally had to shift from that. For me, before, I just identified to myself as someone who I thought was funny and I thought I was smart. Funny and smart, and I sang pretty good until I lost my voice. But then I realized, okay, I'm going to be the guy who's going to pour positivity and belief and inspiration into other people, because most of the time, no one's going to do that for them. So that was my identity shift. That was my identity shift. And that became my lifetime pursuit. So the power to inspire, learning how and why to sell the dream is the single most powerful ability that you can develop. You don't need to get paid to do it. It's something that you can give. As a matter of fact, it's so uplifting to do it. You actually build yourself because you're giving of yourself. You're giving of your positive energy. And what you give, it kind of like reflects back to you. It's one of those things that, I don't know, somehow it made me younger. If you look at some photos of mine 15 years ago, I actually looked older. And now I'm looking younger than how I looked 10, 12 years ago. Only because I just pour positivity into people. It's got to be more than an intellectual understanding. So today I'm explaining this in terms of how you should do it, right? So the how, the what, that's more of like the logical parts, but this has to be more than that. This has to be more about a feeling that you need to have, that this has to become part of you. You have to feel it. It has to come from your heart, that this has to become you. So I want to teach you as a foundation what I call higher law languages. Higher law languages, or the four languages, which is how you talk to the soul and to the heart of people. So let me first start with the first language, the language of personal connection. The language of personal connection is when you have a conversation with someone, you're going to want to talk about their current situation. For you to be interesting, you need to be interested. You need to be interested for you to be interesting. So when you get to know someone's current situation, and there's a whole book written about this, how to win friends and influence people, you want to get to know people about their family and get to know about their career, what they do for fun, what's their motivation on why they're doing what they're doing. In the business, we call this form, the format that we use: family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. So, you motivation is how I find what's the internal motor of someone, what drives them. I'm in the pursuit of unlocking the inner layers of a human being. There's a movie Shrek where Shrek talks about ogres having layers, right? So for me on a conversation, I would always look for the layers, and that's what I do because I want to connect. The language of a better life is your second language. A better life and achievement of dreams. I do this a lot with my children. If you're on my Facebook, you'll probably know I have 4 kids, 3 daughters, and 1 son. A very smart, very talented, very kind-hearted too. I can do as much positive affirmation with them and love on them, and my wife and I create a best example of loving each other as much as we can, but one thing that I do is I paint a picture of a future for them. The values I can only show. It's not something I can teach. I show the values, but the identity, I paint a picture. I paint a picture of who they can become, and then challenge them to pursue it. My daughter right now just got an award in school, and then 2 weeks ago she won. She was part of this robotics team, and she had a category she was in charge of, and she was the youngest one in competition, and she beat everyone. It's a school of 40 schools, and it was middle school and high school. She's in middle school, 7th grade, and she beat out high schoolers in her category, right? She had a perfect score, and I took the opportunity to just feed her identity. I just kept on feeding. Yeah, you could just keep on growing and just keep on doing this, because, and I'll tie that to the dreams of what you can achieve, because when people see things and it becomes their real reality, you can start anchoring belief into that so you can forge the future identity. And that's why we want to challenge people to get results in this business as soon as possible, because we want to anchor future identity to the results that they can get right away. But sometimes, we're challenged by obviously past anchors that people are dealing with, and we just have to help them overcome that. But everyone can overcome past anchors. If your future anchor could just be stronger than the past anchor, if the future that you desire is much bigger than the pain that the past has caused, you can bring yourself to that future closer, and it will almost become a stronger gravity that will pull you up. So when you have this conversation with people about a better life, about the achievement of dreams, regardless of what happened to them in the past, you can somehow get them to have a stronger pull, a stronger gravity of the future, of what it can do, because you can't do anything about the past, right? Is it Rafiki in Lion King? Like, you can't change the past, right? But we can build the future. So you can have a language of a better life. Help people operate out of imagination instead of memory. Imagination instead of memory. The brain is programmed to operate out of memory because it is a fear container, the brain. And if we operate out of logic all the time, which is the lizard brain, it's going to stop us from doing anything that's growth driven, because it's stopping us from getting hurt. Whereas if you're going to operate out of imagination, out of the heart which fuels emotion and love, it will move you towards achievement, towards goals, and that's how you speak to people. So the language of a better life and the language of achievement of dreams is very, very powerful. The third one is the language of empowering and building people. The language of empowering and building people is you being a reminder of people's gifts and their talents and their strengths, and connect these talents and gifts to the achievement of their dreams. You can't tell someone, "Oh, you're going to be a basketball player," but dude, if that's not their gift, they're an artist, right? It's not congruent. You empower them because you build a personal connection, and you find out every human being is like a treasure that's waiting to be unlocked. That's why you want to build a personal relationship so you can unlock the treasure. You unlock the treasure, and you remind them of these gifts. This is how you empower them. This is how you connect it to the future that they can have. And this is how you pour belief in them. And the fourth language is the language of helping people. The language of helping people. You can talk to people about the money they can make here, the investing, the products. That's all lower law, that's all shallow, that's not gonna steer inspiration. But if you want to appeal to someone in their nobility, and if they are noble people, now, if someone's lazy and their goal is to not work, then it's very hard to move that. But if someone is looking for something that's going to steer their soul, that's something that's going to be a bigger purpose, that's bigger than themselves, a lot of things that we do appeals to those kinds of people. And you have to speak to that part of them. You have to speak to their nobility, right? Because there's so many things that we can do to help people. There's so many people out there who's living paycheck to paycheck, struggling with that, have no idea how much it's going to take to replace their income. They don't have the capacity. They don't have both the financial capacity and maybe the financial education to be able to figure things out and put together a plan. Right? A lot of people want both the time freedom and the financial freedom. I'm not saying time freedom to do nothing, but the time freedom to control and have the choices to do what they want to do. You want them to have a plan, you want them to build a future, and you can connect them to the resources that our company has provided us. You guys are living testaments to that because you've gotten pieces of it. Now, obviously, all of us in a journey to kind of like continue on this pursuit because we all have lessons that we have to learn so that we can become better. But this conversation of you having to bring out the nobility in them, to help people to go on that path, that is the fourth language. That is the fourth higher law language. You talk to their heart and their soul. Again, it's a language of personal connection, the language of a better life and achievement of dreams, the language of empowering and building people, and the language of helping people. If at the very least, this one page you can take away from my training today, I think I would have done my job. So, dreams are fuel. And so you got to find your inspiration. Like for me, on a personal level, I don't work well with having a boss. I do not like having a boss. I don't do well taking orders. Sorry, not for me. I want to control my time too. I used to work to somewhere close to Los Angeles. I live in this little city, Glendora, California, and my drive one way is about an hour and 15 minutes. At the beginning, I had to drop off my kids in daycare, and so it was like an hour 30. So two ways, it's 3 hours of my life. They started adding up. 3 times 5, that's 15 hours. So I started doing the math. This don't work. And I really started thinking. So I wanted to control that time. When the 2008 recession happened, some of you guys have heard my story. Literally, debt started piling up. I thought I was on the path of financial independence, owning my own company as an architect, not knowing. I blinked and suddenly I was heading the opposite direction and started piling up debt. And I wanted it out of my life. That's why I'm a huge advocate of, being debt free on top of compounding investments. Um, so I didn't want a traditional path. I'm an immigrant. I left America to build success, to have a better life, to build a future that I felt I couldn't achieve from where I came from. So I didn't want a traditional life. I didn't want an ordinary life. Who wishes to become ordinary, right? Oh, I want to be average. Oh, I want to be mediocre. Who wishes that? I want extraordinary. I want abundance, and I wanted that for my family. I want to check all the boxes. Beautiful wife, wonderful, kind-hearted, smart, loving kids. I should have asked for hair, nice hair. Probably should have asked for that. But yeah, a business that I owned and loved doing, and friends that I cared about, and just having the power to choose when to wake up and when to sleep. Like when people ask me, what time do you wake up? And I tell them, when I decide to open my eyes. Now, in fairness, I do wake up early because I just built that routine. I want to be somebody to transform people's lives. I kid you not, that's actually one of both a double-edged sword for me. If I was super selfish, I don't know, I'd probably have more financial wealth if that was the only measurement I was looking for. But my measurement is impact. Every time I want to do something, I would always think, how do I teach this? How does this benefit other people? I want transformation for other people in terms of what I can do for their life. Somehow that's just how I'm wired. That's why I'm kind of like teacher first. I mentor first. That's why if you look at, shoot, man, I can show you my Google Docs. If I show you my Google Docs, or sorry, my slides, I have so much stuff that I can teach, it will never end because I am teacher first. That's why I'm kind of like teaching you guys something right now. So yeah, I'm in the business of wanting to transform people's lives. But you got to go figure out what fires you up, what will help you overcome your doubt and your fear. But never forget, everyone wants their dreams to come true, plain and simple. So I'm going to help you organize your thoughts right now on how you're going to do this and how you're going to communicate this with people. Because when you're having conversation with another person, so sometimes it's confusing what we want to explain to them first, right? They explain the business, they explain the financial concepts, they explain about the personal development stuff, the leadership stuff. There's so much stuff that we want to do, and sometimes it's almost like diarrhea of the mouth. But you want to create this foundation that you preface the conversation inside these two parts. So I'm going to explain the two parts, but also be reminded of the four higher law languages. But the two parts have two sections. So the first part, or part one, is you want to sell the dream about the honest and decent purposes of our company and the commitment. The commitment. It's not a choice. It's not optional. It's a commitment to treat people right. Always appeal to the noble side of their character first, not the selfish, not the greedy. Character first. That's what you want to appeal to. So it will sound something like this, okay? And I'm just gonna read it from here, and you guys can maybe take a screenshot, or I'm going to send you a copy of this. I'm excited about this company, first and foremost, because of what it's doing to help families. Most families are probably worse off now financially than they've ever been. They need coaching and direction, and they need a plan. They need help with debt. They need protection. They need to know where to save their money in safer places. And it makes me feel great to know that I'm really helping people. And when I believe in what I do, I know that it's right. I can get excited about it. You can talk like that. You don't have to be this technical guy who knows so much stuff about different things. You can just be someone who can say something like this and appeal to their nobility. And now, you can also say that I also appreciate how this company and its leadership knows how to treat people with respect. They appreciate the people they're in business with, and they take a lot of time and effort trying to make other people feel good about themselves and their business. It's fun to be a part of it. Does that make sense? So, this is how you speak to people. And if there's one thing that maybe you can do this weekend, is to just say this over and over and then start saying this to other people. You could start with that. Start with something that simple. This is the second part. I gave you the first part. This is the second part. You sell the dream by illustrating what's in it for them. And there's so many things you could do here. There are many things we can list there, but you sell this as you sell this part of the dream. Watch for their reactions to certain issues, and you got to watch their body language and facial expressions, which usually will tell you things that actually hit them harder, and you'll know how to zero in on those things. You got to watch the body language, what they're nodding to or acknowledging, right? So this is how you can say it. I'm grateful for this company. It's given me a quality, a professional way to build a profitable business. I wanted to be more in control of my time, my environment, and my income. And this is giving me a real shot to do it. I appreciate the opportunity to get out of debt and save some real money. It's a great feeling. And there's so many things I want to do for my family. And you can insert your list here. We want to travel the world. We want to have more fun. Just want to be more excited about the future. We want to live without the pressure and stresses that most people have to face all their lives. And it's great to know that I could be in charge of my life, not have to worry about the politics or anyone holding me back. Now, I'm not sure would any of these things intrigue you. Of course they would. Then you invite them. Invite them to come down to a meeting. Come down to hear the company story. Let me sit down with you and show you what we do. Or let's get together with 10,000 of your friends and let's go talk to them. Either way, you go after it. And let's go after it. Because people more than ever need someone to believe in them, to combine an opportunity and a person who they respect and trust to believe in them. Guide them, show them the way. That is how you create separation from every other person in their life. But you have to do your part. You have to reach out to someone. And if they say no, it's not it's not about you. You're ready to give time to them, leverage the environment, help them get to their next level. It's never going to be your loss. And so the key is to get people fired up by selling them on a better quality life than they have now, both non material and material ways. Also, never forget the magic of selling the dream must be communicated with enthusiasm, tone of voice, and body language. These intangibles are more important than searching for the perfect words. Body language. If you're on Zoom, look at the camera, smile, get them to feel you and have it go through. Tone of your voice, a voice that cares, a voice that, you know, maybe sometimes it's a little bit slower, your pace of your voice, maybe sometimes it's faster, maybe sometimes it's louder, maybe sometimes it's softer, but watch your tone. And then the words, well, you have the words here, but it's your job to reach out to someone and have a conversation with you, removing your fear of, because you're not afraid of rejection. You're just afraid, are you ready to help someone? Are you, it's more of like imposter syndrome for some people. Am I ready to lead someone? But we're here. We're here to help you. You're not in this alone. So you're inviting them to be helped by all of us together as a team. So that is the end of my training today. Again, thank you so much for being here today.